Have you ever wondered about the cultures that thrived in Australia long before the European vessels touched its shores? Picture this: a land teeming with hundreds of distinct tribes, each with their own language, traditions, and complex kinship systems. This was Indigenous Australia, a rich tapestry of diverse cultures that flourished for over 60,000 years. These First Nations peoples were not just inhabitants but custodians of the land. Their deep-rooted connection to the Australian landscape is reflected in their Dreamtime stories, a sacred collection of tales that explain the creation of the world and the laws of the land. They practiced sophisticated land management techniques such as fire stick farming, which nurtured Australia's unique ecosystems. Their art, one of the oldest artistic traditions in the world, is a testament to their deep spiritual connection with the land and the cosmos. The Indigenous Australians were the first to call this continent home, setting the stage for a unique and complex history. But how did Australia transform from an indigenous continent to a British colony? Well, let's take a step back to the 18th century. European explorers began to take interest in this distant land. Among them was the renowned Captain James Cook, who in 1770 claimed the eastern half of Australia for Britain, naming it New South Wales. Fast forward to 18 years later, the British Empire, in need of a new penal colony, turned their gaze towards Australia. The first fleet, carrying about 1,000 settlers, most of them convicts, anchored at Sydney Cove. There, in 1788, they established the first European settlement on the continent, marking the beginning of British colonization. This was a pivotal moment in Australia's history. It ushered in an era of immense change and conflict, as the British began to impose their rule and culture on the land and its indigenous people. This marked the beginning of a new era in Australia's history, an era of change and conflict. What was life like for the thousands of convicts transported to a new world? Imagine being banished to an unfamiliar land, far away from everything you know. That was the reality for thousands of British convicts in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. The British Empire, seeking a solution for overcrowded prisons, began transporting convicts to penal colonies in Australia, specifically New South Wales, Tasmania, and Western Australia. These penal colonies were harsh environments where convicts were subjected to grueling labor and severe discipline. However, these colonies also provided opportunities. Some convicts, after serving their sentences, chose to stay and make a new life in Australia. Over time, they contributed to the development of Australian society, influencing its culture, economy, and even its legal system. The impact of this convict transportation system was profound. It shaped the early colonial society and laid the foundation for the diverse and vibrant Australia we know today. The convict era, though harsh and brutal, played a pivotal role in shaping Australia's early society. What propelled Australia's rapid economic growth in the 19th century? The answer lies in the shimmering allure of gold. The mid-1800s saw a series of gold rushes, the most significant of which was the Victorian Gold Rush. This event sparked a period of extreme economic growth, attracting prospectors from across the globe. Gold fever took hold and the population boomed as hopeful miners arrived in droves. This influx of people led to rapid urban development, with towns springing up almost overnight around the prosperous gold fields. Not only did these rushes bring wealth, they also introduced a diverse range of people, cultures, and ideas, creating a vibrant and multicultural society. The gold rushes also drove advances in technology and infrastructure, as new methods were developed to extract the precious metal and to support the growing population. The wealth generated from gold mining financed major public works, contributing to the development of a modern Australia. The gold rushes were a turning point, transforming Australia into a land of opportunity. How did the disparate Australian colonies unite into a single nation? The journey towards federation was a complex dance of political negotiations, referendums, and debates. It all began in the late 19th century when leaders from each of the 6 colonies, New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania, started discussions about uniting. This wasn't an easy task. Each colony had its own unique interests, and aligning them required careful negotiation. There were debates on topics such as trade tariffs, defense, and immigration. However, with time, the idea of a united Australia gained momentum. In a series of referendums held between 1898 and 1900, the people voted in favor of federation. And so, on the first day of the 20th century, the Commonwealth of Australia was born. This marked a significant milestone in Australia's history. The birth of the Commonwealth marked Australia's emergence as a unified, independent nation. How were the World Wars instrumental in shaping Australia's national identity? When we look back at World War I and World War II, we see a pivotal moment in Australia's history. The nation's involvement in these global conflicts was significant, with countless Australian soldiers, nurses, and civilians contributing to the war efforts. In World War I, brave Australians fought on the front lines in places like Gallipoli and the Western Front, earning a reputation for their courage and resilience and creating the Anzac legend that remains a key part of Australia's national identity today. In World War II, Australia faced direct threats to its shores, leading to a shift in the country's alliances and a newfound sense of independence. The courage and determination demonstrated by Australians during these difficult times further solidified the nation's identity. The World Wars, while devastating, played a crucial role in forging Australia's national identity. How did Australia evolve into a multicultural society in the post-war era? The answer lies in the country's post-war immigration program. Following the end of World War II, Australia embarked on an ambitious program to attract immigrants from across the globe. The goal? To boost population numbers and drive economic growth, and it worked. From the late 40s to the early 70s, more than 2 million people migrated to Australia. They came from Europe, from Asia, and from the Middle East, bringing with them a wealth of cultural traditions, languages, and cuisines. This influx of people from diverse backgrounds laid the foundation for the multicultural Australia we know today. But it wasn't always smooth sailing. There were challenges, of course, as different cultures learned to live side by side. But over time, this cultural melting pot began to simmer into something truly unique. Post-war immigration transformed Australia into a vibrant multicultural mosaic. How have Indigenous Australians fought for their rights and recognition? Let's take a journey back to reflect on their compelling story. Throughout history, Indigenous Australians have engaged in a relentless struggle for land rights, self-determination, and recognition of their rich cultural heritage. One pivotal moment in this journey was the landmark referendum of 1967. This significant vote saw the majority of Australians affirming the need to make amendments in the Constitution to include Indigenous people in the census and allow the federal government to create laws for them. But the struggle didn't stop there. The apology to the stolen generations in 2008 was another monumental step towards reconciliation. This heartfelt apology acknowledged the suffering inflicted on Indigenous communities by past government policies of forced child removal and assimilation. Yet the path to reconciliation is a continual one. The journey towards Indigenous rights and reconciliation remains an integral part of Australia's ongoing story. What drives Australia's economic engine in the 21st century? This question takes us on a journey through the economic development and urbanization of modern Australia. The bustling cities of Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, with their towering skyscrapers, are a testament to the nation's urban growth. The expansion of key industries has been a significant driver of this development. The deep, rich mines of Western Australia, teeming with precious minerals, have propelled the mining industry to new heights. Similarly, the financial sector, with its pulsating heart in Sydney's business district, has become a global player. But it's not just about the domestic scene. Australia's role in the global economy has evolved over time. From being a distant outpost of the British Empire, it has emerged as a vibrant, independent player on the world stage. Its economic policies and practices have significant impacts far beyond its shores. Modern Australia stands as a testament to economic resilience and urban dynamism. What environmental challenges confront Australia, and how is the nation responding? Australia, like many countries around the globe, is grappling with the reality of climate change. Rising temperatures, increasingly unpredictable weather patterns, and the resulting impacts on precious ecosystems are a stark reminder of the fragility of our natural world. Deforestation, often driven by urban expansion and agricultural needs, further compounds these issues by reducing biodiversity and disrupting habitats. The unique flora and fauna that call Australia home are under threat. Yet in the face of these challenges, there are glimmers of hope. Government agencies, non-governmental organizations, and everyday Australians are stepping up to the plate. Conservation and sustainability have become key priorities, with efforts ranging from reforestation projects to the adoption of renewable energy sources. Innovative solutions are being sought, and the spirit of resilience that has always characterized Australia is in evidence once more. As Australia navigates its environmental future, the spirit of resilience and innovation that has marked its history continues to shine bright.